Evropsko okoljsko politiko do leta 2020 usmerja okoljski akcijski program, ki določa vizijo Evropske unije leta 2050. To je življenje v okolju brez odpadkov, trajnostno upravljanje naravnih virov ter varovanje, spoštovanje in obnavljanje biotske raznovrstnosti. O pametni porabi finančnih sredstev za trajnostni razvoj lokalne skupnosti bo spregovoril Sven Šade, politični pomočnik na Generalnem direktoratu za okolje pri Evropski komisiji. Za simultani prevod v slovenščino si nadenite slušalke in preklopite na kanal 1. Gospodu Šadeju pa boste lahko po koncu njegove prezentacije tudi zastavili vprašanje.
I hope you have... No, this doesn't work. Okay. No, I hope you have introduced me nicely, because I didn't have an introduction. I'm Sven Schade from the Director General for Environment in the European Commission. I have a long experience with cooperating with businesses on innovation issues, on green issues. And Ljubljana has got a very good relation to DG Environment. I know that, as you have been the Green Capital last year and just handed over to, I don't know actually who it is this year. I don't know, I think Helsinki. I want to take you a little bit to a journey on some examples of funding for sustainability in other cities. That's where we are pretty good at. We have a little bit of a view of what happens across Europe. And I thought of some things which might be of interest for you. Okay, yeah. I thought of some things which might be of interest for you, which are not too far away because the cities are a little bit similar. And one thing which is at the end, the third example from Sweden, on financing systems itself, it might be a little bit more challenging to find. If we look at where we are, what we have to do as public administrations with the citizens, we exactly know it. It is the Paris Agreement, it is the Sustainable Development Goals. What we don't know is how to get there. Yeah? And I want to, my predecessor speakers were mentioning this already. We have a large number of city networks on resilient cities, on cities for refugees, which are all dealing with one topic, because it's an urgent problem. I was coming back, I was 3 weeks ago attending a conference in Sweden. It was a scientific conference. I was the only policymaker. It was quite fun. Where the director of the German Development Institute developed a thought and said, look, we were in a very nice position some years ago. In the sustainable development discussion goes back to the 80s. That was very vague. It is a development which doesn't restrict the opportunities of the future generations. So everybody could interpret it in the way he or she liked. Then with the Rio conference in the early 90s, it was said it has to be sustainable in each of the dimensions. The economic dimension, the social dimension, and the environmental dimension. And the whole discussion was about how do we make the compromise between these three. And one city said, okay, I need economic development. The other said, oh, I can go on the social one. And the third one, no, I have the ecological problems. That was still a very comfortable position, and you could master the process. But it led all the time to bad compromises. And now the idea behind the Sustainable Development Goals is we have a very integrated system. And if you cannot read it here, these are not basketballs. This is social policy. This is climate change issue. This is governance as such. And it links to these, and it shows the links of these 17 to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And if you take climate change, it links to poverty. It links to food security. It links to energy. It links to life on land. It links to life in the sea. And the whole system becomes very, very integrated, which causes which results in two things. The city networks to deal with migration, to deal with poverty, are nice, but if they only look in poverty and not to the others, they won't achieve anything. The second challenge, if we restrict the thought to one element, if we have a very integrated system, the public administration doesn't know what to do with it. Yeah? There is no ministry for climate change, because if it links to all this. So we have to have the structures, and we have to have to solve the struggle for competences and for rights to do something in the public administration. So we need new forms of governance. And here, evidently, the cities come in, because you can do this much easier on the local level than we can do it in Brussels for Europe. Now, I want to give you some thoughts or some solutions how some cities have done this. Quickly reflecting on what is happening in trends. Yeah, what trends are there to address these issues, most notably in funding. I said it already, we need integrated strategies that create synergies for the transitions. We don't need to solve an environmental problem at the expense of the economic side, or at the expense of social issues, and vice versa. So we need a transition from a low carbon and to a circular economy. We need to address the demographic changes we have, either by aging societies, which will have a big impact on health, on environment as well, funny enough, and migration. So these are the big trends we have to deal with, away from finding a good solution for poverty alone. We have tremendous investment gaps in infrastructures, investment gaps to finance these transitions, but it is clear they cannot be filled by grants. Why not by grants? Very often the grant projects are not sustainable in themselves over the future. If they cannot generate revenue, if they cannot generate a certain profit, they will not attract private investors, and they will not be, in the long run, self-sustaining. So we have, on the European level, a drift away from grants into what is called financial instruments. Financial instruments are generally those which operate with the financial sector, but which need bankable proposals. Bankable proposals meaning projects which can be made appealing to investors. They don't have to give a very high return at the moment. At the moment, the revenues are the interests are very low, but they have to give a secure return to be, for example, appealing for a pension fund. The third big trend supports the second one. We have on the international level a tremendous discussion about green bonds, about greening the financial system. We have initiatives there from the G20, we have initiatives from OECD, from the EU, from the multilateral development banks. All are thinking about how do we make the financial system support this transition better, not looking to short-term projects, etc. Then it's going back into very deep details on how does the banking system evaluate a certain loan given out to a project which only delivers a return over a very long time. There is a lot of movement in this area, and one has to, in some way, could ride the wave. I will give one example how the Swedish ride this wave very intelligently and develop a lot of Swedish municipalities and get in a lot of money for green investment. One driver behind it is that many big investment funds see the risk if they invest in coal, for example, the reputational risk. That is a tremendously big driver for them. They say, if we invest only in nuclear and in coal, our reputation will suffer to such an extent now that we no longer will be in the market, or no longer be deemed nice. Where's the big strengths of the municipalities? The municipalities can bring all these different aspects together. You are the one working close, you can motivate the citizen, you have a grip on the educational system, on the schools locally. 2/3 of all public investments are typically done by municipalities. It's not the national state that is doing the bulk of public procurement. The accountable governance is very strong on the local level. If the mayor does something wrong, he normally can be replaced much faster than a central government. And you have a direct grip on the nature. You are managing the green areas. You are managing the soil. An example from Jyväskylä, Finland. How do they do it? How did they do it? What is needed? Well, first of all, a vision, an integrated vision. You cannot read this. Here, Jyväskylä's roadmap to resource wisdom. How do we create something on the local level? They have here very short term, 15, 16 to 19 to 25 to 2030 to 2050. In the areas of renewable energy, sustainable transport, waste as a resource, healthy food, valuable water, sustainable communities. A very precise benchmarks here defined how do we get in the renewable energy system from a concrete project, Kangas area as an R&D center, to we are a fossil fuel climate carbon neutral city in 2050. And the same for transport. The vision is there, it's translated from the UN level down to what does it mean for the city of Jyväskylä. How to get it done, how to get it going. What they say is the only way we can learn in the city is through experimentation. We have to create the safe space where the citizens can come in with their ideas to prototype sustainable actions and to do something in a not very expensive, not very fancy, big way, but to give the incentive to try out new things. That doesn't cost much to do. To try out new things that support the overall vision framework. What did they do? For example, can we use biogas for cities' vehicles? Yeah? A local anaerobic digestion plant out of the wastewater treatment, which now drives the city vehicles. Local ideas funded with very, very small funds in the range of 5,000 to 10,000 euro, yeah, for each of these projects to test them. A traveling repair shop. If you have bikes or cars which are broken down, you cannot go to the repair shop. The repair shop could come to you. Could be much more efficient, in particular for bikes. Suburban cleanup days, aiming at integration of impoverished communities. To say, hey, you have to excluded communities. We are inviting you to do something together, and the city administration is going out there and inviting the people for a cleanup day. The major point is learning by experimenting, learning in practice, engaging the people, not learning from the academics in the high school, but learning on the field, on the ground. I thought there was small grants financing. What they were using was for the small grants a European project. But they could, first a Finnish project. Now they have to be right. They were using for the small grants Finnish funds, so national funds, with a nice anecdote on the back. Why is the big level, the higher level of the administration needed? In a discussion on experimenting in innovation policy, the director of the Austrian Innovation Agency said, you know, if I go to my director and say, I want to have money for an experiment, he says, oh, this experiment can fail. That's too risky. If it fails, my head will be cut off by the parliament. If I go to my director is in the innovation agency saying, I have acquired European funding for an experiment, he will tap on my shoulder and say, great job done, we brought back money from Europe. And if it fails, it was European money and I'm fine, I'm out of the limelight. So the higher political level, be it the national, be it the Ministry of Finance, be it the European level, what we can do is we can basically politically unrisk the experiment on the local level, yeah, and provide the mayors, provide the city administrations the funds to run this. And if the system as such is successful, it can be extended to others. I want to jump to the second example, the city of Tartu in Estonia. The mayor of Tartu established around 2012 a local innovation council which brought together the directors of the municipal enterprises. So the green spaces management, the city hospital, etc. And all these had to commit to provide demonstration space for local entrepreneurs and become a living lab. Later it became a system of living labs. What does demonstration space mean? The story they always told us was Tartu is lighting the cross-country skiing tracks in winter. That costs a lot of money because the winters are long and the nights are dark. A local entrepreneur developed a web app to turn on the lighting and to be charged for the light. If a second person comes to the skiing track using the app, he would also pay, but he would not pay in addition. He would reduce the payment of the first one. Because the city said, I'm not interested in generating profit from the lighting. I'm interested in getting my costs recovered and that I don't spend money in vain. The city engaged, said that's a good idea, and the city only helped to assist it in establishing this web app and the system. They did not procure it. So it was nothing to do with risky public procurement exercises. It was just the city is helping a local entrepreneur to demonstrate its solution. Within one winter it was demonstrated. The city had invited guests from Sweden. It was sold to 10 Swedish communities within 1 year. And the company throve. I can jump over. This is the now what they developed out of it, the living lab approach in Tartu. They want to be a living lab for new solutions for these transitions, as it is Estonia, mainly in IT. Who is there? The university, the academic partners, the Tartu City Council, which is the managing all the thing, and then people addressing the people living in the city as consumers, as entrepreneurs, and engaging the municipal administration, the municipal companies. The big project here, what they want to do, what they are using, where this living lab approach is put into practice, regenerating a former Soviet military site with a lot of. A new museum shall be established, a solar power plant to feed the museum, a community center. What do we do with forest gardens? And here they are inviting all the city population to bring in their solutions and to work on that field together to convert this area. The third example, staying in is now one really on financing. Kommuninvest is the Swedish local government debt office. It has a very funny history. It started in the 80s with 10 municipalities, local governments coming together and saying we want to pool our resources. Okay, I need to. We want to pool our resources to get money directly from the financial markets. Nowadays, they have 280 out of 310 of the Swedish municipalities are members of the cooperative Kommuninvest. Kommuninvest is in that way an own entity with the only task to issue bonds. They have enjoy the highest rating, the AAA rating, and they go to the public and issued, for example, in March 2016, 600 million green bond, $600 million US green bond to the public for local projects of their members. What they say, our green bonds can finance everything in environmental management, water management, climate adaptation measures, green buildings, renewable energy, public transport, waste management, and energy efficiency. Some of these projects are very sure bets. If you think about energy efficiency measures of a communal housing company, they exactly know what it costs and what the return will be. This would be easily sellable to a bank as well. What is not so easy to sell is public transportation, because you don't know the revenue. What is not so easy is adaptation measures, because here it's basically on the insurance. What they do is they make basically a portfolio for the investors. They issue a bond which says, I'm financing all this. There are the good projects, the secure ones, and there are the more risky ones here. And they pay this through their cooperative efforts, through their common efforts. Now, what they have an advantage which might not be there in Slovenia, they provide as collateral their right to collect taxes. Yeah, so the collateral for the bond is that all the communes have got the right to collect income tax. That might not be the case here, but perhaps you can find it as a way of thinking what you could offer and try to go that way. In summary, sustainable development, financing of transition to sustainable development needs creating as many synergies as possible between the SDGs. So don't think in terms of compromise between economy, ecology, and society, but in terms of where can I create the synergies. Don't wait for top-down interpretation of what sustainable development is. Define it yourself, what it means for your commune, and how you contribute to the higher level. That's why we have such a difficulty with the EU, on the EU level, to come up with something on sustainable development. Yeah? We don't want to impose a top-down interpretation. And then move from copying best practices to developing your own better ones. Thanks a lot.